Alright. So why did Silicon Valley Bank fail this time? First of all, although the scale of this bank is also very large, Americans may not have heard of this bank. Because its customers are not retail investors, not ordinary people who have a net worth of $100 and can open an account with them. As you can tell from the name, his clients are mainly high-tech companies. When the owners of these companies were still starting their businesses, Silicon Valley Bank helped them with loans and financing. Then when these companies grow bigger, the bank can absorb them. Deposits from these businesses. In other words, for your convenience, an ordinary bank may have 10 million customers. Each customer deposits one piece, and it has 10 million. And Silicon Valley Bank, it may only have 100 customers, but each of his customers deposits 100,000. So it also has 10 million. Can you understand? Then, did this bank develop some subprime mortgage products and sell them to make money like it did in 2008? No. This bank was very conservative and just doing business that traditional banks do. It is to lend the money you have deposited, and charge interest. What he was doing was a business with interest differentials. But here comes the problem. During the pandemic, the Federal Reserve printed unlimited money and continuously released water. It almost tells you that there is no cost to borrow money. The stock prices of those technology companies soared instantly, so the deposits of these companies in Silicon Valley Bank have also doubled several times. There is a lot of money. If I don't lend the money will be my cost. And when the economy is bad during the pandemic, even if the interest rate is very low, there is no retaliatory increase in the number of people who ask the bank to borrow money. So Silicon Valley Bank's business is not very good, so it simply doesn't lend money to ordinary people. Instead, it buys a large amount of US Treasury bonds, which is equivalent to lending money to the government. Originally, this was a very safe asset allocation, right? But in 2022, that is, last year, the Federal Reserve announced a direct interest rate hike. What does a rate hike represent? It means that the interest outside is higher than the interest on your US debt. So everyone will stop buying US debt. This caused the price of US bonds to fall sharply. Silicon Valley Bank loses money directly. More than that, raising interest rates also means cooling down the market. In the past, when we did business and investment, the cost of borrowing money was very low. Now the cost of borrowing money is high, so we don't want to borrow money anymore. So when there are not so many people doing business, we can see that Google, Twitter, Facebook, Tesla and other big companies have to lay off tens of thousands of employees. Then these giants will withdraw a large amount of cash deposits from Silicon Valley Bank to protect themselves. At this time, the project invested by Silicon Valley Bank lost money. And at the same time, a large number of his customers were lost, and these customers were urging you to spit out the money. So in the end, the capital chain of Silicon Valley Bank was broken, and he had to chop off his hands to save his lost money. The debts are all sold and used to repay the money. The most stupid thing is that he also announced that he would sell his company's stock to raise funds. This is equivalent to the werewolf killer, who blew himself up as a werewolf, and he is not the Wolf King. Can you understand me? So all fools know, oh, your bank has no money and no cash flow, so it is definitely not safe to put my money with you. Shouldn't I hurry up and run? As a result, those depositors all ran to this bank to queue up and run on it. Withdraw all your money from Silicon Valley Bank. This is the end. Their stock prices plummeted 60% that day. The 4 major banks in the United States also plummeted together. Then the retail investors I often talk about seem to have seen the opportunity and ran to buy the bank stock at the bottom. As a result, it plummeted another 60% before the market opened the next day, and then even delisted directly and went bankrupt. Then what should we do? The US government has come out to pay the bill. In order to prevent those depositors from withdrawing money, the government guarantees that you can get as much money as you have deposited. At the same time, all the losses of Silicon Valley Bank will be borne by the government. If you lose $3 billion in investment, I will give you $3 billion. At the same time, we can see that none of their CEOs and shareholders need to be responsible, and they receive their salaries and dividends. Right? Why? Today want a little kid who set fires everywhere. He will not only hurt himself but may burn down the whole city. And this kid is these banks, and the government will inject money to him. The real purpose is not to save him, but to just save other residents living in the city. Then if you see a cockroaches, it means that the room is full of them. Today the first kid came out. And there are 180 potential bankrupt kid waiting to appear. Can the US government save everyone? Have so much money? So will the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank this time lead to the same result as Lehman? My answer is, what does it matter to me? I just want results. It doesn't matter whether it goes bankrupt or not, as long as I can make money through this matter and my wealth will not be plundered. It's okay. Why do you say that this time may be a rare opportunity in our life to make a lot of money? The Federal Reserve raises interest rates to strengthen the dollar and overthrow the assets of the world, thereby harvesting the world. You can see that from the bankruptcy of Sri Lanka last year, to the explosion of British pensions, to the explosion of Credit Suisse, and to the recent debt default of Blackstone. These are the best opportunities for bank capitalists in the United States to use the already appreciated US dollars to buy devalued assets around the world. It's just that the fire of raising interest rates has slowly burned back to the mainland of the United States. That's why the Silicon Valley Bank collapsed. Although we say that both Silicon Valley Bank and Lehman went bankrupt due to insolvency. What Lehman holds is subprime mortgage products, which are the debts of those sweeping ants. And Silicon Valley Bank is a US Treasury bond, which is a relatively high-quality asset. It's just a temporary drop because the Fed raised interest rates. Therefore, as long as the Fed does not raise or lower interest rates, it can resolve this crisis. On March 23, the chairman of the Federal Reserve finally announced that if new policies to suppress inflation are needed in the future, they will no longer give priority to raising interest rates, but will use other methods. This means that the one-year interest rate hike in the United States is close to. In other words, the dollar has begun to weaken. The way to make money is also very simple. We only need to buy products that are in the opposite direction of the US dollar. And the first investment product is Bitcoin. And why do I want everyone to pay attention to Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin is just a product that moves in the opposite direction to the US dollar. Look at Bitcoin, its 50-day moving average has broken through the 200-day moving average. It represents that Bitcoin has broken away from the downward trend. And it has entered a long-term upward phase. And now Bitcoin has risen back, and it has returned to the level of the previous support line. This time this line is no longer a support line, but a resistance line. You see, Bitcoin is already running rampant at $29,500, which means that it is like accumulating power, ready for a wave of trends. We say he will rise or fall, I don't know. I just know that if it doesn't break the line, I don't buy it. But if it breaks through this line, I will buy directly. And set the stop loss at around 29,500. Then my profit will be at least $10,000. Can you understand what I mean? And the second investment product is gold. When there were many geopolitical conflicts last year, I asked my mother to help me buy a large amount of gold to hedge. At that time, I didn't think about whether gold would go up or down. Because my purpose of buying gold was not to invest, but to hedge. And that time was last August. I bought physical gold. After I bought it, unless there is a war or a financial crisis, I will never sell it for the rest of my life. For specific ideas, you can watch my previous video. When I bought it, the price of gold at that time was $1,700, and then it dropped to $1,600 at the lowest. Then I don't care, right? I don't sell it. And after about half a year, it has now risen to $1,019. Many people explain that gold will soar because of the problems of Silicon Valley Bank and Credit Suisse Bank, which caused risk aversion. In fact, what really pushes up the price of gold is that the central banks around the world are buying gold vigorously. Last year, central banks around the world secretly bought 1,136 tons of gold, breaking the 55-year record. And the real surge is this year. Countries all over the world are still increasing their gold reserves. In January alone, a net purchase of 77 tons was made. China has increased its holdings of gold for 4 consecutive months. What does this represent? It means that all countries do not want to be hegemonic by the US dollar, and they have bought back gold one after another. Then let's look at the picture. The golden purple 50-day moving average has broken through the black 200-day moving average. It means that gold has entered a long-term rising stage. And we found that every time gold rises to $2,000, it will turn around and fall. This is a very obvious pressure level. As for speculation, I will wait until gold breaks through $2,000 before buying because there is no pressure level above it, which means that there is no pressure to sell goods. And as long as the Fed announces a rate cut and the US dollar officially weakens, gold is very likely will usher in one of the most profitable investment products this year. If you want to speculate on gold, it is recommended to choose financial products such as gold ETFs, gold funds, or gold bars and coins, instead of buying gold jewelry. And the third investment product is to invest in your own brain. There are 100 billion brain cells in the human brain, which have memory and storage functions. And each cell is equivalent to a supercomputer. And these 100 billion high-end computers are installed on your body. It is a pity that people's eyes are facing outwards, and many people cannot see these wealth. Fortunately, other people can't see it. No one knows what you have experienced, how many books you have read, what kind of path you have taken, what kind of skills you have mastered, what kind of career you want to do, and what kind of plans you have, and these are the real deposits that really belong to you. When you have nothing, you should not exchange your precious time for money. It's about finding a way to make yourself valuable, which is the most important thing. You must be able to see what kind of person you will become after time passes. Selling your IQ just for money is the most stupid thing in the world. After that, he actually lost his head and finally became a tool man with only 2 legs and 2 hands who obeyed orders. Living passively will only make your situation more dangerous. This is the purpose of capitalists, to turn people into waste that can only rely on them for survival. Prevent you from inputting any wisdom into your own head. Your mind is your most profitable asset. Choice is greater than hard work. Whether you make money or not is always related to the trend. The first batch of people who went to sea to start a business made money back then. The first batch of buyers made money. The first batch of e-commerce people who bought Bitcoin made money. When you invest your brain, you will see the trend. You do not exist. You are afraid of the economic crisis. You are afraid of unemployment. Because in our eyes, there are projects and opportunities to make money everywhere. And really, if you have nothing today like me back then, you have to take advantage of the situation. For example, if you like to play games, then you can record the process of playing games and make an explanation. You can talk to the computer, just like me now, without showing your face. And then put the video on YouTube. Whenever someone clicks on your video, you can earn advertising money. And when most YouTubers play, they sell fans to other merchants. Why can many amateurs sell those NFTs online? It's so expensive. How can you sell so many? Why do so many people have been in the business for a lifetime? And even some artists have worked hard in the show business circle. And in the end they made more money from making videos and putting them on the internet than the sum of the money he made before? For example, Lu Ganggong and Chen Yiru. It is because they have all caught the trend of self-media. And what you really want is to have a master who has achieved results no matter in the self-media or in the field of entrepreneurship. Because in this way, you can save a lot of time for self-exploration. And you don't need to slowly learn the skills of content writing, speech, SEO, design, editing, title, marketing, monetization, etc. Alright. If you have any questions, you can leave me a message. As long as you can find a sentence or two in what I said today that is useful and can help you live a better life, I will be satisfied. I will continue to share free information about becoming a rich man, an entrepreneur, an investor, and achieving financial freedom. If you don't want to miss it, I still appeal to you to subscribe to my channel and turn on the little bell. Then selflessly share the video. I sincerely wish the brothers and sisters who like this video to achieve wealth and freedom as soon as possible. Cheers.